Good afternoon, everybody. Ryan Hodge here, and hopefully you are doing really, really well. Just wanted to share with you before we get started. I'm going to give it a minute or two just to let people jump in. If for any reason you have challenges with connectivity today, just reconnect. I did a presentation for a brokerage outside of the city last week, and we had a few connectivity issues. We've got some weather here in London, so just making sure that you are able to, certainly reconnect, and that usually solves the issue if you have any connectivity issues on your end. Feel free to post anything in the chat. I will certainly do my best to respond. I'll leave a little bit of time afterwards as well, just to make sure that I can serve and support you along the way. First and foremost, thank you for being here today. I know this is a very busy, challenging, and certainly interesting time in our experience. My purpose is to always serve and support you at the highest level possible in whatever market you're in, whatever phase of your business you're in. What I want to do is provide value, and that's why I really started this Rise Up series through the challenges that we've been having. And I know that you've probably been in, the world of Zoom webinars and different training, and gotten lots of great and valuable information. I don't want you to get into the mode of just complete information overload today either. I want to share that if you're not in my Real Estate with Purpose group on Facebook, go there. All of my webinars are always posted there and there only. I will send a replay link as well. I'm going to give you some other opportunities through this session to connect with me. I want to support at the very highest level possible. So don't worry about taking copious amounts of notes. This will be, recorded and placed. And if I can share, anything further along the way, then I certainly will. So I'm going to turn off my screen in terms of my camera here so that we can dive right into this presentation on how to become a powerhouse lister. So let's jump in. First of all, the one thing that we always want to look at is that we are a reflection of our choices. We are a reflection of our choices. And this is not always the easiest lesson or principle to hold, especially not through a really, really challenging time period like the one that we've just experienced. Ultimately, when we look at taking full personal responsibility, when our outside world is giving us a tough time, it's about moving inwards and finding our own place of reflection in order to adapt and move forward in that ultimate path of productivity. If you were to really, really look at and examine what's going on in the real estate environment right now, you will safely be able to say, I can take responsibility for all of my outcomes. Because if you really visit where this all occurred and what's truly happened inside of it, you can understand, were you on track to begin with? And if you got sidetracked through COVID-19, perhaps there's some, elements to recognize about building multiple facets of business cultivation. Perhaps there's some elements to look at in terms of, additional forms of lead generation or predictable business cultivation that you can move forward with. In any market, whether it is a down market, whether it is a world pandemic, whether it is a recession, or it's a hot market, there are always realtors that are finding success. And it's not about being hard on ourselves right now, but it's about understanding and taking some responsibility for where we're at in current space and time, and then allowing ourselves to adapt and move forward. But we've got to take action. Remember, if you want a result, you must take a little bit of action. But if you want massive results, then it requires massive amounts of action. So today we're going to talk about how to become, in my opinion, one of the most profound people in our real estate environment, even though we all have the ability and potential to do so in terms of becoming a great and powerful listing agent. I'm going to show you 5 steps to get more listings, scale your business, and earn what you are truly worth. So who is this presentation for? Number one, it's for realtors looking to grow their current listing business. It is for real estate brokers and managers. And it's also for team leaders looking to help their agents thrive. This is for those that, may be already listing properties. You may be great at what you do, but, perhaps you're not growing fast enough. You want to build some momentum right here and right now, and you want a smarter way to attract more clients and grow your business. We're going to cover off why much of your marketing may be wasting your time. We're going to talk about how to make a lot more while working a lot less. And we're going to discover and explore why most listing systems do little more than confuse you and your clients. My promise to you is a faster and more predictable way to a massive real estate business without spending a fortune or doing what the gurus have been telling you to do. The key to success is ultimately found in these 4 little boxes that I've uncovered in over 12 years of analyzing real estate markets, teams, brokerages, and those that are having success. And I'm going to talk about these 4 little boxes as we move through this process. Because ultimately what we're looking for is financial abundance and freedom. And here's ultimately a really good question to pose to yourself right now. What must happen in order for you to experience the happiness, freedom, and results-based productivity that you desire and deserve? What must happen in order for you to experience the happiness, freedom, and results-based productivity that you desire and deserve? How can we help you get better results for your clients? Giving them an experience that is going to allow you to thrive into each new experience. And ultimately, what it comes down to is freedom. The freedom to do the things that you want to do with the people that you want to do them with. See, real estate is not our life's purpose, but it is an amazing vehicle to freedom if you take the appropriate types of action. And that vehicle is what drives us and allows us to do the things that we want to do with the people that we want to do them with. Nobody is going to wake up on death's doorstep and say, my life would have been just a little bit more complete if I would have sold one more house. But I guarantee that your life's purpose is going to matter. And real estate, albeit a challenging business and a super challenging one to thrive in, can be the ultimate vehicle to drive that life's purpose and give you more freedom. So can you relate to these questions? Are you tired of working with buyers all the time? I'm not saying to stop working with buyers entirely. Okay, that is never my message. I might share some insight on, working with buyers versus, sellers. But are you tired of working with buyers? Are you tired of confusing marketing schemes to attract more listings? I mean, let's face it, we're in the information overload society. You can readily learn how to become a top producer or a top listing agent online for free anytime, any day of the week. And that was present long before, all of this worldly challenge occurred. Maybe you are working with a lot of listing clients. Maybe you are working with, the people that you want to work with, but you're swamped. Are you swamped with work, client calls, and have little to no time to work on your business because you're too busy working in your business, in that transactional side? Do you feel that you are undercharging? I mean, has your market become so competitive that you feel that you're undercharging for the services that you offer and you're not truly getting paid what you're worth? And are you having trouble standing out amongst the noise? Juggling too many things, feeling overworked, and your brain feels like it's going to explode. And this is very, very common. And when we get into that space of overwhelm, we tend to get almost paralyzed. And so why resist these facts? I mean, this is common for most real estate agents that are doing any level of decent business. Overworked, not getting paid what they're worth, and oftentimes very, very overwhelmed working inside the business versus on. And it's not your fault. It's not your fault at all. Because the real problem is that there's not a lot being trained on a new way to do this that's actually going to have some relevancy. And the old way of building a successful listing business is truly a dying model. Because you've likely been told now to build your online brand and online influence. Okay, that's very common right now. That's been most of the training that I've seen over the last 90 days. People telling you to create tons of content, spread your word on social media, go to brand-centric conferences or hire a one-on-one coach. These are all things that I apply as well. But is it truly working? Is what you are doing now truly the best way to earn more listings and make more money? Got to ask yourself that. What if I were to tell you there's a smarter, more profitable, and more impactful way of building the listing business you've always wanted? What if I were to tell you there's a smarter, more profitable, and more impactful way of building the listing business you've always wanted? And that you don't need a huge online following. I'm going to take you through an example of a one-on-one coaching client of mine who does not use Facebook. He does not apply the Facebook strategies that I consistently employ in my own business. He has chosen to do this in a different way. But ultimately, when he looked at the business that feels good to him and the way that he wanted to run a business, and we worked together to create a listing-focused business, his results were phenomenal. When you look at somebody grossing $90,000 in any market as an individual agent and $118,000 in a 30 calendar day period, it's a pretty good result. And I still use social media too. Okay, so I'm not saying not to use social media. I'm saying it's time to examine what is truly going to work for you, not for the masses. It's not about being better than everyone else. It's not about being the same as everyone else. It's about being different, and it's about being relevant. And a lot of the strategies that we apply here today led to these photos, just a small portion of the homes that my tiny little sales team have sold over the last 90 days. And this took me 10 years, okay, over 10 years to truly determine what works and what doesn't for me. And I'm not saying that it's all going to work for you. I'm not going to say that it's not. But don't get caught up in the overwhelm. It is time to simplify. It is time to streamline. And it is time to structure this business in the way that is going to work for you, not only in the short term, but in the long term, to create a healthy and profitable vehicle to do the things that you want to do with the people that you want to do them with. And where's the key to your success? Again, in 4 simple little pillars designed to support you, designed to explore, designed for you to uncover, that I'm going to share with you a little bit later in this session. And with this framework, you're going to wake up every day, every single day, knowing where your next client is going to come from. You're not going to have any more hope and pray marketing or sleepless nights wondering if this will work. With this framework, you're going to have absolute certainty and peace of mind that you have the simple roadmap that works and is working for other real estate professionals like you all over North America. With this framework, you're going to be able to attract your ideal clients and have them happily list their homes with you and pay you top commission to help them sell. And the best part, you don't need to spend a fortune. You don't need to be internet famous, or you don't need to play the next politic game in your next social media group to get the business. Does that sound pretty good? So for those of you that don't know me, my name's Ryan Hodge. And much like you, I am a real estate agent. I have been fortunate to own and operate a real estate company over close to 7 years. We have close to 100 agents inside of our marketplace. I've also been fortunate to speak to over 25,000 realtors across North America and Europe, primarily on the principles of high productivity inside of the real estate environment and beyond. I'm a father of 3 boys, Tyler, Nate, and Justin. They keep us relatively active as well. It was not always such great news. I mean, in fact, it was painful. If you have read my book, The Integrity Vow, you probably know a little bit about, the challenges and failures that I experienced over many, many years focusing on my business, which was actually completely out of control. And I share with you, in my first 3 years in the business, I sold over 200 homes with 1 buyer agent and 1 admin. But the glamorization of success with all the accolades and awards and things like that really truly didn't matter until I started studying foundation. My first year, it was just a complete sense of overwhelm, operating completely in the business. By year 2, it's heavily focused in open houses as well. And it wasn't until about year 3 that I started to get some of the principles, but I just hadn't quite mapped it out yet. I was fortunate to be the Rookie of the Year at my brokerage. I started at the wonderful world of RE/MAX. Within a 3-year time period, I earned the RE/MAX Hall of Fame Award, which is over $1 million in gross commissions. By year 4, became the #1 team at my former brokerage. And ultimately, my journey kind of looked like this. I started a big team. Because I was having some success, RE/MAX promoted me quite heavily inside of their environment. I got to start speaking, for different brokerages, coaching and consulting. Formed a coaching company officially in 2015. I've been featured on the cover of REM, which is our Canadian real estate magazine. Got to speak all over, work with an incredibly amazing group of highly, highly productive realtors inside of my company, the realty firm. And was fortunate to be acknowledged by, London Business for, being a 20 under 40 entrepreneur a few years back. But success often looks nice on the surface, but it certainly doesn't equal fulfillment. Success does not equal fulfillment. In fact, success is often nothing more than a toxic replacement for fulfillment. When you look at your own success, are you attributing that to your fulfillment, or is there more to explore and uncover? Because if you get so focused on success, you can end up working in a very outdated model. Prospecting for buyers all the time. When they're open, constantly doing open houses, working your weekends, like no tomorrow, taking yourself out of time with friends, family, loved ones to, constantly hold homes open, show houses, present offers, do home inspections, paperwork, all of the stuff that comes with working with buyers on a very, very regular basis. And you want to study this as far as the time involved, okay? How much time does it take for you to work with one buyer, start to finish? Let's examine that, okay? Write this down. How long does it take you on average to work with a buyer from start to finish? From the time a lead comes in, or perhaps a referral or a sign call, you make contact, hopefully you get them in for a buyer consultation, go through a buyer presentation, get them set up on a home search. Eventually they start getting out and looking at some homes. Depending on what kind of market you're in, you could be into, 5 homes, you could be into 40. And if it's a slow market, you're probably going to be showing them a lot more. If it's a hot market, you might be showing them less, but you might not win on the first time that they actually do an offer. Eventually they do secure an offer. Perhaps there's a home inspection, there's final walkthroughs, there's more paperwork, there's waivers, there's all of it that, we as real estate agents do to successfully work with a buyer. How much time do you feel that it takes for somebody to work with a buyer on average, start to finish? I'm going to share that the average response falls anywhere between about 40 to 65 hours when they really, really study the time, including all the phone calls and, everything that goes into it. 40 to 65 hours dedicated to one client. It's a lot of time. And that is really one of the main principles that I truly needed to discover to begin to leverage my business and find fulfillment working with the clients, driving the vehicle that ultimately supported me in creating happiness, freedom, and more of the results that I desired. And this took me analyzing different markets, analyzing, really successful people, both inside and outside of the real estate environment's marketing. Agents that were having tremendous success, specifically in terms of listing properties. And it ultimately helped me go from over 35 transactions in a short part of 2008 to over 100 transactions per year in a 2-year time period. And this can happen for you as well. That may not be your goal, but your potential is truly unlimited when it comes to this if you simply take consistent action in the areas we're going to discuss. And again, I'm going to make this very simple, understanding 4 key elements, 4 key pillars, and these 4 key boxes a little bit later as we move on. I'm going to share with you 5 discoveries to support in your mission, to support you in your mission of finding the happiness, freedom, and results-based productivity, becoming a powerhouse listing agent versus what you may currently be doing in current space and time. And I want to be clear, this is not about getting busier. It's about getting very, very highly productive, working in your highest path of productivity and potential. Because I do believe that most agents confuse busy with being productive. So secret number 1, you don't have to be experienced to be a listing powerhouse. Okay, you don't have to have been doing this for 20 or 25 years to be an absolutely incredible listing agent. Finding more listings, finding an abundance of listing clients, and actually getting them to a place where they're paying you what you deserve, and you're working with more and more and more of them because of the experience that you deliver. But you must build your foundation first, then your business. See, too often, most real estate professionals want to jump to pillar 4 of what I call the real estate code versus working on their truest foundation in terms of creating a much higher listing focused business and really understanding what that is going to take and what it requires in order to do so. And when you don't build on foundation, ultimately you're usually building on a house of cards or quicksand, where as soon as something goes sideways or as soon as something comes up, much like what we've seen in the last 90 days, things go sideways and the house of cards often falls. Ultimately, when we look at foundation, the most highly productive human beings on the planet know the foundation, income, business cycle, and they know it well. They study it, they take action in it, they reflect, they revisit, and the cycle continues. So we start with you and your own personal foundation. Now, what could be getting in the way of the happiness, freedom, and results that you desire and deserve? As you begin to understand your foundation, as you begin to solidify your foundation, you oftentimes have a direct correlation with the money that you continue to earn. And typically when you are making money, you're going to have documented results and ultimately a social proof to truly examine, explore, and show that what you're doing works. That usually will create the desire for more, where we then revisit foundation as well. And you don't have to be a top producer to scale up either. Okay, what is a top producer? Okay, when I got into this business, I was told that you can be a top producer if you make 200 cold calls a day or you spend a fortune in marketing. I did all of that. And you know what? All of that does work, but it's not the only way. Let's look at the true realm of possibility right now in terms of how you can do this business, how you can create more in this business, how you can create the ultimate listing business that you desire. And ultimately, all you have to do is be able to solve a pain or a problem for a specific group of people. All you have to do is be able to solve a pain or a problem for a specific group of people. And this includes yourself. It all starts with yourself first, how you can impact your own personal foundation, which will then impact your business, how you can impact the lives of other human beings, which will then impact your profit line. Secret number 2, you got to charge more money. Okay, it is amazing. After 5 years of owning a brokerage and typically having close to 100 agents that work with me, a plethora of one-on-one coaching clients in many different markets, how many of us are discounting our fees? Okay, how many of us truly are not charging what we are worth? Why not charge more? Okay, most people feel that they are not worth it. Okay, that their services are not worth it in order to charge more. Can you imagine what it would do for you if you added an extra % to your listing side of a commission? 1% on all the transactions you currently do. I bet for many of you, in order to truly hit your goals, you're not going to have to sell more real estate. You're not even going to have to work with more listing clients. If you just charged more, those goals would come to fruition a lot sooner. Okay, but you've got to believe that people will pay you. Okay, and you have to be able to deliver the experience. Because here's the thing, we are not here to sell information and paperwork. Okay, we are not here to sell information and paperwork. We're selling transition and transformation. Okay, we are supporting people in the greatest transition that they will make in their lives. It is right up there with a divorce and death. Okay, it is huge. And so creating the experience that shows them that we are selling transition and transformation is absolutely crucial. Because that's ultimately the goal, right? Impacting human beings first is going to lead to income. Okay, I know that that is not the purpose, but if you have an impact on somebody, the natural correlation is that your value goes up. And if your value goes up, so will your income. And as your income goes up, it is just truth. It is just a true fact that so will the happiness, freedom, and results-based productivity that you desire and deserve. But how can you achieve this if you're undervaluing yourself and the transition and transformation that you create for your clients? How can you possibly achieve that? Ultimately, consider this. What type of business do you want to run? Okay, let's take a hotel analogy. You know, if you look at the Motel 6, for example, and not that there's anything wrong with a Motel 6, but oftentimes, you know, the stereotypical Motel 6 is going to look a little bit more run down than perhaps the Royal York. Okay, the Motel 6 might charge $39.99 a night or $59.99 a night, depending on where you're at. Oftentimes, they've got vacancy. Hotels like the Royal York or some of the greatest hotels on the planet that charge $300, $400, $500 plus per night oftentimes have very, very little vacancy. But it's because of the experience that they sell. What kind of experience do you want to create? What type of business do you want to run? And ultimately, premium pricing benefits everyone. Okay, if you are working in the place of abundance and premium pricing, number one, you're going to attract better clients and customers. Okay, your higher pricing and showing your value based on the experience that you're sharing is more assuring to your clients. But it also has a direct impact because if you're going to charge more, this is going to force you to create an amazing result for your clients. Your clients will be more invested in you. And when you create that experience, I 100% guarantee it's going to result in more referrals. It's also going to result in more profit with less headache. Okay, more profit with less headache. Because here's the thing, and I'm not saying this is you, but you know, it's one to examine. What type of clients do you consistently attract? Okay, do you attract the energy vampires? You know, the people that just suck the living life out of us because we allow them to, because it was set up like that from the start, because we didn't have our own personal foundation in check, and we tend to attract more of the same. Do you ever find that when you're in a really good headspace and a really good mindset and you've been working on the business and you're delivering value and you're just in that flow, that you tend to attract a better client as well, one that suits you, one that is calming, more relaxed, and has less headache? Okay, this is a direct correlation between your personal foundation, your business foundation, and the experience that you are creating. And you are worth it, but you have to believe it. Okay, you have to look at that personal foundation. If you're saying, I may not necessarily be worth it, examine it, uncover it, unravel it. And then that is how you get into a greater rhythm, a better sense of flow. And when that happens, watch what unfolds. Secret number 3, you're being distracted. Okay, you are being distracted right now. Here's the problem with today's marketing. It is designed to distract you. Number one, no offense to those that teach that haven't sold, but if you have not done this business, you truly do not know what it's like to be in it and have done it. Okay, and it's often being taught by theorists. Okay, it's designed to sell you on something rather than help you sell. It's just the truth about online marketing. You've seen abundance of it over the last 90 days. If you've been, trying to grow your business, build your business, get more listings over the last 5 years, you've probably seen so much information coming at your way in this information overload society that you just don't know where to start. That's why Training junkies are created. You know the people that go to every single training session available. They go to every webinar, every seminar, because the pretty aspects of marketing sells. They take all the information in, and yet they fail to take action. I don't want this to be you today. Because that kind of marketing ultimately assures that you stay mediocre. Mediocre. Why do you think it is that the average realtor on the planet, especially in North America, sells less than 5 homes per year? Why do you think that that is the average, an irrefutable fact that most realtors live below the poverty line? Because they're not identifying that there are some challenges in terms of working with a buyer-only business. Because there's some challenges in working with marketing that is just designed to distract us. And ultimately, they're focused on time management, but they're not really focused on the choices that they make inside of that time. Go back to the buyer time study that I gave you just a little bit earlier in this presentation and consider this. What would you do if you could get back half of that time and you could invest that in working on your business, working with the right systems, and ultimately, really getting a high level of focus? What could you do at that time in order to attract more into your experience? And you've really got 2 choices. You can do it or you can't. Anybody that I work with, okay, I can never make somebody commit. Okay, I can facilitate an idea exchange. I can facilitate a very proven and predictable process. But it is ultimately in the personal reflection, personal choice, and personal commitments that somebody makes. So you get to begin to look at, how do I want to commit? Do I want to, on one hand, stay in the business of overwhelm, stay in the business of distraction, stay in the business of scarcity, stay in the business of constantly working with buyers because that's all I can get and undercharging when I get them? Or do you want to work in the business of abundance, in the business of happiness, freedom, systems, processes, strategy that becomes predictable in order to drive your life's vehicle? And I get it. This can be overwhelming. But I don't want you to stay in the space of overwhelm. Okay, is it time for you to stay in the space of truth? The truth about what really works and what really doesn't work. Because if you don't understand the truth about what works, you can't possibly track and measure things. And if you can't track and measure what it is to grow your listing business, you cannot possibly improve it. You're just throwing shit against a wall. That's the truth. Okay, let's get more intentional. Okay, because as we get more intentional, we're going to get more impactful. And as we get more impactful, we're going to get more results. And as we get more results, we all know how this process goes. Secret number 4, most agents are not entrepreneurs. Okay, cold hard truth. Most agents are not entrepreneurs. And that's where I want to take you through 4 key pillars of a listing powerhouse pipeline for you to explore, understand, and examine time and time again to work in a place of real estate entrepreneurship rather than real estate mediocrity. Very, very simple. You have 4 key pillars, and I'll discuss them briefly inside of this session. Number 1, your front-end foundation. Your front-end foundation. Okay, number 2, your predictable business cultivation. Predictable business cultivation. Number 3, back-end systems, processes, and marketing. Okay, back-end systems, processes, and marketing. And number 4, assessing, scaling, and leverage. Assessing, scaling, and leverage. Most real estate professionals want to go to number 4 before they ever do anything with number 1. Okay, or they want to go to number 3 before they ever do anything with number 2. And so I'm just going to type in the comments here a couple words to examine. Karma versus dharma. And most people have heard the word karma, which is ultimately, what comes around goes around, or what goes around comes around. It's a golden rule. It's also working in what's called the law of cause and effect. The law of cause and effect. And the law of cause and effect is basically anything that we do is going to have a consequence. Any action has a consequence, whether it's a positive or negative one. Okay, but it's a very, very circular in nature. That's why karma is discussed as what goes around comes around. Very few people talk about dharma. Okay, dharma is actually the law of purpose. And the law of purpose says that anything and everything on this planet has a purpose. But the law of purpose is a more linear nature, which means that we need to work in a linear path, doing the next right thing after the next right thing in order to have an experience that we want to create. And if we want to keep moving forward with progress, working in purpose, we've got to keep making the next right choices. See, most agents run their business in a circular nature. They take a bit of action, they get busy in the transactional side of the business. They get too caught up and too busy in it. They stop taking the action that got them busy in the first place. They stop making money, and they go back around and around and around. Dharma works in a much more linear path, a much more predictable path, but it requires specific steps in your front-end foundation, your predictable business cultivation, your back-end marketing, systems and processes, along with assessing, scaling, and leveraging eventually to create more. So what is your front-end foundation? Well, number one, it's about understanding yourself, understanding your goals, understanding your targets. Okay, too many of us get focused on the wrong targets. It's about looking at how to reverse engineer specific processes and strategies, looking at your structure, okay, your front-end marketing, how you're putting yourself out there. And ultimately, it really looks at the personal development that is truly required to start getting all this out there, feeling good about it, understanding why it is that you want to do what you want to do, and creating a skill set and mastery to then be able to move forward. Okay, predictable business cultivation can be so many different things. Unlike the theorists tell us, unlike, what we are taught from most of our broker owners, you can run this business in so many different ways, but it's got to be predictable. Okay, it's not about just running Facebook ads. It's about using a platform like Facebook or social media in order to create a predictable amount of business. Many of you have seen the predictable business I create with my Facebook funnel strategies. If you haven't, go back to, some of the other training. It's about how to get predictable in your sphere of influence. Understand what should the predictable results be if you have a list of 100 people that should be buying, selling, or referring you a real estate transaction. It's about getting predictable if you are going to do a form of prospecting like cold calling or door knocking, and truly understanding the metrics and what it takes. Or if you were working with sales funnels, creating online lead generation campaigns with your website, things like that. It's when you understand the predictability and the true metrics that you can track, measure, and improve it. It's the same as direct response marketing, such as geographical farming. That predictable business cultivation is a critical step in this to grow more. And in terms of growing more, it moves you into your back-end systems, processes, and marketing. Okay, how you're going to create these systems through such things as CRM, the ones that actually you're going to work. Understanding the types of contact, types of plans, types of frequency, types of messaging in order to really grow your repeat and referral. Because in your predictable business, a lot of that traffic is cold or warm. It's not your hot 100 list. Okay, but it's in cultivating those people, cultivating them, after you've maybe helped them buy or done a list and buy with them, that you're then going to attract more listings, but you're also going to attract more referrals from them, working in, the elements of client appreciation, and ultimately watching it compound if you do have the right systems in place. Okay, I spoke for the Ontario Real Estate Association a few years ago, and it was very, very clearly indicated to me because we had a pool of potential consumers, past consumers that had bought or sold in the last year. Most said their realtors lost touch with them after they did the transaction. So understanding what it truly takes to compound things is going to have a dramatic result in creating more listings. That's where you then get to explore how to assess, scale, and leverage, whether it's through, referring a few of the buyers or the clients that you don't want to work with, whether it's using a little bit of technology, whether it's through, the different forms of, leverage, keeping those vital signs of real estate alive and well, because that's really what it's all about, which is setting appointments, conducting appointments, and negotiating contracts. Whether you need to assess, what's missing, what's not, understanding, how you can get people that may work with you converting more as well, whether it's a team member or a partner, things like that. That is where we begin to grow. That is where, assessing, scaling, leveraging, understanding those open loops is where we can grow if we want to create more. Not everybody wants to create more. But if you can understand these simple principles, it allows you to treat this business as an unlimited abundance of potential. And there are people on this planet that have sold hundreds of times more real estate than I ever have. I've done okay. But if you look around and see some of the people that have truly understood, recognize these 4 key pillars, you can at least understand that it is possible. In the realm of all that is possible, it truly is for you as well. And I get it. It sounds simple. Okay, but there's a drastic difference between observation and action. Okay, again, if you want a result, you've got to take action. But if you want massive results, you have to take massive amounts of action. Okay, there's the elements of, what you're truly being distracted by right now. Okay, and there's a lot that's distracting right now. I mean, right now, for many of us, we're working with just a fraction of time that we normally have available to us. A fraction of time, to do the things that we want to do, even with the people that we want to do them with, because we need to make a little money. Okay, but in the realm of all that's possible, what would it do for you to sell a couple more homes per month, maybe 1 more per week, maybe more? Okay, but we've got to stay in the space of intention, aligning our intentions with our actions, avoiding distraction. Okay, there's also the element of fear. And, many people talk about the fear of failure, especially when it comes to real estate. Oftentimes, there's a lot of societal programming built into us from a very, very early age, that literally, breed the fear of success as well. Okay, fear of failure, fear of success, they typically exist in one way or another in all of us. And it's not to say that we are going to eliminate that fear, but understanding that fear is kind of like the barometer of our spirit. And understanding that, if we can understand that energy associated with fear, it allows us to transmute that energy into motivation. Motivation lies within. Okay, and ultimately, factual, most brokerages breed mediocrity. Most. I'm not saying mine's any better than the next. But when you look at the brokerage model on the whole, it is very much a numbers game. Okay, I never wanted to be the largest brokerage in my market. Wanted to have the most highly productive group of people in our market, and consistently, pound for pound, we're right at the top in a very, very short period of time. But no longer can you afford to be sold on ancient information coming from outside of your market that is not going to impact you personally and professionally inside of your market if you want to breed success. Stay out of the age of mediocrity. Secret number 5 is the litmus test. Are you the client that you want to attract? Okay, are you truly the client that you want to attract? Ask yourself that. Okay, if you want others to invest in you, how do you invest in yourself? Okay, do you pay, high fees for a truly incredible experience, whether it's on a trip, whether it's at the grocery store, whether it's the people that you work with? Okay, it's not any different than anything else. We don't attract what we want. Okay, we attract what we are. We don't attract what we want. We attract what we are. So it's a question to truly, truly consider. Ultimately, behind every great success as a coach, I'm not saying myself. Okay, I am fortunate that I get to work with many great people. But, how are you holding yourself accountable, or who is holding you accountable? And I'll share, this never stops for any of us. Okay, when I got licensed, I hired coaches. I began working with buyers in order to attract more listings, hired a coach. Had the number one team, hired a team coach. Started a brokerage, got a coach to help with the brokerage. Went to masterminds, more coaching. Became a solo owner when I bought my company outright, more coaching. And the reason that I do this isn't because I'm talking about, hiring a coach, but it's finding out, what is truly going to hold you accountable to create what it is that you desire and deserve. Okay, is your broker owner one of the select few that, has that leadership mentality, that's been in the trenches, that has coached, that has done it, that has had success, that has results and proof that you can do it too? Because if not, time to examine some options. Okay, are you, working in the law of association, surrounding yourself with people that you can ascend with, rather than so much of the toxic, negative, descending stuff that we find in our real estate environment? That's truly, truly one to consider. And, ultimately you can see results time and time again. When I've worked with teams, very, very good testimonials. It was clear that developing agent production was the number one priority. The training we received was second to none. The element that I benefited from was resourcefulness to provide with the right people, strategies, and mindsets which would keep us ahead of the curve, and we have. And I want you to get crystal clear on this. What is it that you need? Okay, and find somebody to hold you accountable to what it is that you need as part of those 4 key pillars. Maybe it's all of it. Maybe you don't know where to get started. Maybe you're just at a sticking point. Maybe you're about to grow with people or other technology or put some systems in place. It's about finding what you need and finding people that have done the work before you, that have had success that feels good to you, and then finding a way to get accountable. And you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Okay, this business is so much easier than most people truly recognize, but we overcomplicate it. And when we overcomplicate it, we don't do what we need to do. And we ended up working in that circular manner, round and round in circles, working with too many buyers, working the people that we don't truly want to work with, taking away from our freedom, taking away from the time with family, friends, and loved ones. And I don't want that to be you. Because ultimately, when you look at emulation versus innovating, emulating those that have had success before you versus reinventing the wheel, this is truly what smart entrepreneurs do. They figure out what it is that they want and why they want it. Okay, now those that don't get a good result, try and figure it out how. And they keep trying to figure out how, and they never truly evolve the way that their potential would allow them to. Instead, make it easier on yourself. Find somebody as the who that will support you in getting a result. So to recap this day, I've shown you 5 discoveries that can help you build an unlimited real estate listing pipeline, and truly the foundation to do so. And the simple 4-step blueprint to predictably get more clients, scale your listing process, make more money, and enjoy a greater quality of life in the process. Okay, this truly works irrefutably. And now you get the choice. Okay, you get the choice as to what to do next. So how can I help? Well, in the spirit of abundance and without selling anybody anything, because I can't stand that, what I have done is I've set aside some time in the next 72 hours to speak with you personally, personally, for free, about how you can apply these principles and take your listing business to the next level quickly. And what I've done is I've placed a link right inside of the chat box that you can just copy right now. And my hope is to support people through this process, because I know that it has been a very, very tough time. Should you choose to do a discovery call, you will be sent a questionnaire. Questionnaire will then get filled out, because it's going to allow me to know, where you're at in current space and time and what needs to happen. And I'm going to work with you for 30 minutes to just talk about a step-by-step game plan, help you hit your income goals for this year, whether it's 20 grand a month or 100 grand a month. Okay, I would like to share and explore that with you through my scheduler. So again, this is absolutely free. I am not here to sell anything today. I'm here to serve and support. Because as we have an impact and as we serve and support others, success is never an issue. This is not for you if you're not a realtor, if you're not a manager, if you're not a broker of record or a real estate team leader. It's also not for you if you just want to talk about the market and you're not willing to do the work. And it's not for you if you don't have a do whatever it takes attitude. Okay, this is for the committed. This is for you if you're a realtor, broker, manager, or team leader. You're decisive and committed. You're coachable and courageous, and you're resourceful, because we will talk about resources. And if that's for you, then book it. Okay, the link is right in the comments. I'm going to post the link, of course, in the group as well. And ultimately, my hope for you is, more of that abundance. That's what we all need right now. Okay, this has not been an easy ride. Okay, this is the time to take some action. If you want results, you got to take some. And again, if you want massive results, the action's got to be massive as well. Because I want to help you get better results for your clients and create that experience. And ultimately, my hope for you, as always, is creating more happiness, more freedom, more of the results that you truly desire and deserve. Okay, moving into that highest place of productivity and potential. And again, if you want a result, well, I think I've said it a few times. You've got to jump on a call, and I'm happy to support in any way I can. As always, if you have questions for me or you want to reach out, www.ryanhodge.com. And as always, each and every month, I will be back again, looking at ways to serve and support through this time period. My hope for you is that you continue to stay safe, happy, healthy, and that you continue to move forward in that place of dharma and purpose, and that you continue to create more and more abundance. Thanks so much for the time today. We'll talk real soon.